Hello, Hollywood Time viewers. Judy Shields here. Today we welcome guitarist, band member Ian White with the band called High Noon. Hi, Ian. How's it going?
Life is good. Thank you for having me today.
Cool. I like your background there.
Well, thank you. It's a music room. A lot of the songs get started and get written back here, actually.
So I see a acoustic guitar. I think that's an electric guitar back there.
Yeah, you've got a electric bass. You've got a ukulele on the wall. You've got my Taylor acoustic, some drums down there. On this side, you can probably see the piano, keyboard.
Keyboard.
Yeah, some meaningful paintings. So it's sort of all over the place. And then I've got instruments kind of hidden throughout the house as well. I've been playing since I was, man, my mom told me I had to shave my legs and join the swim team or pick up a guitar when I was 12, I think. And so 12 or 13 is when I started.
So how did you learn to play the guitar?
Well, I learned to play the guitar a lot because I was not particularly popular in school, and I loved music. And at one point, my best friend said, if you love it so much, why don't you play? I think I'm going to get some lessons. And so I thought, being that my parents are asking me to do something other than ride a skateboard, I should do that too. And it was just an incredible experience to be able to begin to manifest and make these songs and these noises that I've been hearing that have just sort of filled me up since I was a little kid. I remember I told my dad, like, about as early as I could talk, that I wanted to join the choir and I wanted to be a musician. And so it had always been something for me. It was that moment when my parents said, "You got to do something more than skateboard." My best friend said, "I think we should play guitar together." That was the impetus.
Oh my goodness. How did you teach yourself guitar? Did you have lessons or?
I did. It was a little bit of both. I started. My mom had a 1970 Alvarez classic guitar, and so I just started to kind of play on that. And my mom kind of said, "Hey, listen, you're gonna drive the entire house crazy with whatever you're doing." I was like, "I'm playing Mr. Jones, the Counting Crow song." She's like, "No, you're not." And so she got me lessons with this really cool young dude named Steve down the street in the Bay Area where I lived, and he was great. He's like, "You're going to learn Carcassi." I'm like, "I don't know what the Carcassi is, but I would love to learn Stone Temple Pilots." And he said, "I'll make you a deal. For every classical song you learn, I will teach you a rock and roll song that you want to learn." And so we did that for a long time. And through that, I learned music and I learned music theory. And then eventually I applied for this thing called Soundwall Music Camp. And you have to try out for that. And I was accepted, and I picked up another guitar teacher there who, again, I had to apply for. And he said, I think if you're willing to commit yourself, you could potentially take this seriously. And so I did.
And how about like your first song? When did you kind of write your first song?
Oh man, I wrote my first song probably when I was 14 years old, and it was about the primary lyric was about the winds of Tennessee, and it was pointed out to be by my friend and later bandmate that I had never been to Tennessee, and maybe it'd be a good idea to write a song about a place or something I actually knew about, and then right about that. So that was my first attempt was writing that, and then on a little bit later, I started to write songs that were more about what was going on in my life. The next song that I wrote that was really anything of note, that it was called Mockingbird. And Mockingbird was about my best friend and I, because I always kind of wanted to be him. He was in sports and he had a really pretty girlfriend and he had kind of all of these things. And as much as I loved him, I spent a lot of time at home playing guitar and watching and listening to sort of the things that were going on in his life. And so Mockingbird was a song that was about how, at some level, I wanted to live the life that he wanted to lead, or that he was leading. But it was also sort of just to pay homage to the joy that he brought me and that our friendship brought. And so Mockingbird, we ended up making a new song and playing it for a ton of people, and we won some talent awards and things like that. So Mockingbird was the real first song.
Oh, cool. Well, let's kind of tell our viewers how you and I got connected. So the Hollywood Times is going to be driving up to Napa Valley from Los Angeles to go to this music festival that I have never been to. I had my editor who's coming as well, called Bottlerock. So
That's right.
Tell us about it, since I'm pretty sure you've been there.
I believe this is the 8th or 9th
Oh
Bottlerock.
my gosh.
I know what started as this locally grown festival that a group of guys put together that had never done anything in the music world. They put it together, they built it. It was built by a guy named Richard Von Saul, who's a local artist. And they brought in these amazing bands and all the food. And it was really a wine and food festival that featured really good music. So for the first time at a large level, we had truly talented, truly famous, truly beloved musicians coming to Napa Valley. And that year was a huge flop, and everybody lost all their money and it was sort of a mess. But this group called Latitude, anyway, it's Latitude 38 Entertainment came in and they revived it and they built it into a music festival that has brought everyone from, just all the names you'd think of, from Guns N' Roses. We've got Smashing Pumpkins. We've got just all the major touring bands and all these wonderful smaller bands and up and comers. And so it's a 3-day festival of music that ranges from the kind of the best of what the Bay Area is, but also to world famous acts. Like I said, the Smashing Pumpkins, the Chili Peppers. We recently had, Tom Petty on his final tour headlined. And so really wonderful acts. And there's still amazing food. The culinary stage, the culinary stars, and then the celebrities that are on that stage is really cool. And it's great food, it's great wine, it's great people. And what I love about this festival is it brings what Northern California, I think, embodies in so many ways. And that's a sense of acceptance. It's a sense of joy and a sense of be who you want to be. So many festivals these days really are a chance for us to be ourselves, but just a wonderful sense of joy and fun and sunlight and music and acceptance.
So I'm assuming because of COVID, was it not going for a couple of years?
It was off for a year and a half. And then they kind of did a spur of the moment one when things opened back up and there was a lot of fear and uncertainty, but people came and it was really a wonderful, joyous time. There was still a lot of people in masks and there was a reluctance, but I think that people really got into it. So there was about a year and a half, almost 2 years that it did take off, or it didn't occur because of COVID.
So this should be a really amazing one this year coming up. It's a Memorial Weekend, folks.
That's right. And for me, it's especially wonderful because I get to play in my band. The band High Noon will be kicking off the festival. We're the first band to play, which is an honor. It's also my favorite time of the festival. And I've shared that with people before. So I think that maybe that's why we got this lucky slot. But as everyone pours in, excited to begin the event, we're on the Truly stage, which is the first stage. So as all the people enter, we'll be on stage. And then shortly after at 1:30, we're going to transition over to the jam stage, which is in the main stage area, and do an acoustic set. And that was because we were honored this year to be chosen as an emerging artist. They saw us play live. The Bottlerock guys saw us play live with Grammy Award-Winning Fantastic Negrito, as well as the Stone Foxes, another great band. And then Jam Sellers saw us as well at a separate gig, and they went, wow, we had no idea that this band was a local Northern California band. And so they made that offer, and then they honored us by being an emerging artist. And so we get to play twice at this incredible festival, and feeling blessed.
I know we're kind of bummed, found out that we didn't get in Friday for some reason. So we'll be driving, but we'll have to reach out somehow. Maybe you'll be around for the other couple of days. So.
Absolutely. We'll make sure to. And I know our lead singer, Ryan, is going to be there all 3 days, and I'll certainly be around as well. We're also going to be playing Auction Napa Valley, which is the largest wine and food festival in Napa Valley each year. And so we get to play that coming up too. It's been really wonderful. We've been playing as a band for a while. We just recorded our first album, which releases tomorrow, actually, Swell. And in some of the warm-up gigs for that, we've been getting a lot of really sweet attention. And from that, we've had these other offers that, frankly, we hadn't even hoped for. And now they're manifesting. So it's very cool.
Well, folks, I got to listen to, he's got 7 of them. That's what I like to talk about, the music and the songs. And so the very first one is called Intro, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh my God, it's so freaking cool. It's instrumental, and it's almost like you hear maybe a guitar and then you hear another instrument and another instrument. I'm like, what's going on? It's just instruments, and it's so great. It's just, and then the vocals that you use, it's not even words, it's just vocals. I think that's awesome. What a first song. Whose idea was that?
Thank you. It was all of our idea, actually. We kind of were talking about how we miss albums being a story all the way through, not individual songs. And so we wanted to start the story with something big and bold. And so we were like, well, so what do we want to come onto stage with? What do we want to start with? Let's start with something. So we just started playing. I started with a riff and we started playing it, and then we started adding and adding. When we got to the studio, we had the basis for that. And so I started with the guitar, and then we went to the drums, and then all three of us went in and sang together. And then our drummer started using different instruments around the studio. And then I grabbed my electric guitar and put it electric guitar, and we just built layer after layer after layer in the studio of the four of us just playing everything we could get our hands on. And so it builds into this, this crescendo. And so that's how we're going to get on stage at Bottlerock, is we're going to begin with that just completely, random but wonderful, massive noise and sound.
I gotta tell you, that's just like a song for like a wedding entrance or a party entrance, or it should be on a movie theme. You guys got to push that somewhere.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, right now we're just so grateful for the opportunities to play that we haven't thought much about where this will go. And sometimes I feel like life, when you don't have a goal in mind, you just do something for love. I think so often the best things come. And so right now we're just loving what we're doing. And who knows, maybe that will be the beginning of a movie, or maybe it'll just be what we play on stage. But man, that was a fun one to record. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, I loved it. So the second one is called let's see, Preacher Man, which I read that's one of your favorites. So let's talk about that one.
Preacher Man was a riff that I wrote. And it was something that I'd been playing for a long time without ever tying it together. And one day I sat down, I was like, okay, are these three songs? Is it one song? And so I put it together into one song, and I went to Ryan's house, because we always used to play at noon. That's how we ended up being in the band High Noon. And I brought it to him, and he really liked it. And we started to write different lyrics and songs. And I said, hey, why don't we write this one? I know you've been through a lot recently around your dad. Why don't we write this one about your dad? Because his dad was a preacher, and that's where Ryan learned to sing, was traveling with his dad. He was like a one-man choir. And so we began to write it about his experience with his father, which was really intensely personal for Ryan. And what he did is he told me the stories of his experiences, and then I turned them into lyrics. And then he took those lyrics and he molded those lyrics to be even more authentic to his experience. And together we wrote Preacher Man about his dad, and about the misunderstandings and the pain and the beauty of the experience he shared with his father as they traversed the country.
It's actually going to end up being a ballad song for people leaving California. Sorry to say that, but there are people that have to leave because of different reasons, mostly retirement. And
expense of living, the expense of living here. There are a lot of reasons, but luckily there's so many other wonderful states. I've recently been, toured Texas and Arizona, the beauty of Arizona, Tennessee. There are some wonderful places to be. And so luckily we've got this big, beautiful country in front of us to explore if
exactly
the right spot.
Exactly. Third song is kind of interesting, Ghost.
Ghost.
Kind of tell me about that song.
Ghost is a song that we all ultimately contributed to, as we do with all the songs. But Ghost is a song that I wrote when I found myself very far from my own true north. I realized that I had been striving for success and for love and for companionship and for, all of those things from external sources. And I had sort of become a ghost. And I had become a ghost to my wife and to my family, and more than anybody, to myself. And so Ghost was sort of my moment of reckoning when I realized that. And so there are parts of that song that are very real, about waking up next to my wife for the first time when we were just dating in the morning. And there's a lyric that talks about that. When she woke up, she's like, whoa, it is so hot. And I was sleeping. I was like, oh, what is happening around here? And so she really said that. And so those lyrics are very much about my experience with her, and about, becoming a ghost myself, not recognizing who I was and the emptiness that I was experiencing at the time. And that song I wrote, and what I do is I write lyrics and music and some part of a melody, and I send it out to the band. And I sent it out to the band. There wasn't a lot of response. And then I was hanging out in a parking lot waiting for something, leaning against a minivan that had a surfboard and a few other things on it. And I get this text from Brandon, the drummer. He's like, dude, I was just clearing things out and I found this old song, Ghost. Will you finish that song? Can we finish that song? And it was so wonderful to hear that, but then to look back on the song as it was from 2 years later, having, I believe, emerged from that space of discomfort and separation from my true north, and to be able to write that song from a different perspective. And so Ghost is both the song that I wrote while I was so feeling like a ghost, and after I returned, thanks to Brandon. Without him, that would have, the song would have remained a ghost.
Wow. That's why I like hearing about, we have our take on songs. It's always great to hear what the real true meaning to those who wrote it or sing it tell us. That's great.
Right. It's amazing though, because so many times, like for me, that was my experience, but the hope is that Ghost touch others, and whatever experience they have, that song can also be the soundtrack for their experience. That's what I love about music. Once my brother said to me, he was a super good skateboarder, he was all about it, and I was playing in a band, and he was like, skateboarding is just cooler and better than music, Ian. And I was like, I know for sure that you don't believe that to be true. He's like, how could you possibly know what to believe, what I believe to be true? I was like, because you listen to music every time you skateboard. Mm-hmm. And he just looked at me and nodded and walked off. And I think that's the only time in my life my stubborn brother has just absolutely 100% agreed.
I can't imagine not having music in my life. It's just it's a part of the daily waking up, daily during the day, daily going to bed. I love it.
The way it brings back our past, it gives us hope for the future. Heck, imagine watching a movie without any music.
Oh, I mean, the emotion, how terrible.
Right. And the emotion that it draws from us is so powerful.
Oh, that's why whenever I interview like directors or somebody about their movie, I always ask them about their score, because to me, I'm like, there's sometimes I miss things because I'm so busy, like kind of listening to the music, because I love the soundtracks, that it's amazing how they could write music to movies. Like no one will ever forget Star Wars. I was 17 years old when that came out, and I was like, to this day, you hear a couple notes and you're like, Star Wars.
And John Williams, what a genius. He did Indiana Jones and a number of others, but that's so true. They become the theme songs for our lives. They, they bring us back to these times. No, I love it.
We're thankful for songwriters like you. Oh. So and then the next one is Dawn. I'm like, that was an interesting name. So let's talk about that one.
Yeah, that song went through like 15 different names. Actually, wow. It was Loud World and all these different things. And that was, I would say, the most collaborative of any song. And so that song means something different to each member of the band. The different lyrics at different times meant different things to different people. Originally, Dawn was a song that I collaborated with a girl that I met. And I was looking just for some kind of different inspiration, some other way to write a song. I was feeling quite stagnant. And so I said, just send me some text or some photos of your life. And she sent me a photo of her with her boyfriend sitting on a cliff in like a super cold day. And the way that it was, the photo was like one of those live shots where if you touch it, it moves. Yeah. Wow. So it actually went around the two of them. And I was like, cold world spinning around her. And then she sent a picture of a stoplight, and she's stuck at the stoplight forever. It's like, I'm stuck here forever. And it's funny. And so I wrote the song based on the images that she was sending and the experiences that she was having. And we never ended up like hanging out or getting together. And so I was like, oh, well, am I ever even going to meet this person? Because I'm like, she was hardly even an acquaintance. Wow. She used to work in a coffee shop that I went to a lot, and she didn't work there anymore. And we reconnected on Instagram, and I was just like, it happened to be that she happened to be the person there when I was looking for inspiration. And so, will I ever meet her? Will I ever see her? Or will she, and so all these other things were about her, and not at all in a romantic way, but rather is this sort of muse for this song that I never even knew. And because it was really about this person I didn't know and about these experiences that were not my own, when I brought it to the band, there were so many gaps to fill in with their personality and their words and their lyrics. And so that one, was written about someone else, with someone else, and was a truly collaborative and wonderful process, and one that we almost didn't record, but at the end we decided we would. And when we played it recently, that was actually the song that earned us the honor of being an emerging artist. They heard that one, they're like, that's it, that's your marketable song. They're like, oh, I'm glad we recorded that one.
It is. It's a good one. Oh, and number 5 is Road Home. I really like that. It kind of made me want to do a slow dance.
Yeah, it's a slow, sweet one. Some country influences. That's when I started to listen to country a little bit. And that was a song that Ryan and I wrote. Ryan, before the rest of the band came, it was one of our first songs. And actually, when we recorded the first time, basically in a closet and in this other little space, that was actually on there. And it was the one that Brandon, our drummer, said, I'd really like to re-record this. I really like this song. And that song, The Road Home, was mostly about Ryan and his experience at the time. And it was a really difficult time in his life. I don't want to get into his secrets. I never know how much a human wants to share about what's going on, but he was being wrongfully accused of things, and he was in a bad relationship and all these other things. And so that song, Road Home, was really about his coming home. And so there was certainly a lot of my experiences infused in there and are writing that song together. But more than anything, it was about his experience of that time where it just seemed like, the walls were falling in on him. And so the Road Home is a way out of that.
Oh, it's a great one. Number 6, Diamonds and Gold. I heard that one and it just made me feel, I wrote here a song that maybe too many of us can relate to. Great anthem song. Because it's all about diamonds and gold. And
that's right. All the things we think we want, the success that America says we should have, even at the cost of all the things that are actually meaningful to us.
Exactly.
And that song, I came up with that riff and I was having a good time, and our drummer hadn't really contributed to any of our songs in a meaningful way at that time. And I said, well, let's write a song together. He's like, I'm not much of a lyricist and I don't play guitar. I said, tell me what's going on in your life right now. And he started to talk about how his friends, he was trying to create these dad groups and trying to reconnect with all these people from his childhood and really take these old relationships or lengthy relationships and turn them into meaningful relationships, things from the past that mattered into things in the present that mattered. And the people around him, those people weren't willing to connect and weren't willing to be a part of the growth that he was wanting to experience. And so Diamonds and Golds was an expression of his exploration of his past and a movement into the future. And so he gave me his feelings and I turned them into lyrics. And so it was a really fun experience. I was sick as a dog that day. And so there's probably some hallucination going on to it. But that is really a song that's about Brandon's experience that I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to put some rhythm and some rhyme to it. And then we brought it to the band and we all sort of, we adapted it and adjusted it, and everybody infused a little bit of themselves into it. But that one is mostly Brandon's story.
Oh my gosh, really good. Well done. And number 7, Wheels Down Arizona. Let's hear about that one. I love it.
That's my favorite song on the album. And that was the song that is most meaningful to me. That song began actually at my darkest time. And I won't get too much into that, but it also turned out to be my brightest hour, because without the pain that I was experiencing, the realization of the mistakes and how far I was from myself, I wouldn't be here now. And man, feel so grateful for where I am right now. And so that song started to brew and I started to work on lyrics and things, but I wasn't ready. And then I was in Arizona. I got off of an airplane, got into this rental car, and I was feeling so alone and so confused, and all the things I thought were real weren't. And I was driving, and there was this truck that had rolled over in the middle of the freeway. And so they were diverting traffic off of the freeway onto this crazy dirt road. And so a lot of people were just pulling over and waiting. But I decided, I had rented a truck. I just rented a car, but they gave me a truck. And so I was like, I got a truck, I'll take the dirt road. And so I pull out into this dirt road and we go way off into the desert. And there, all you can see is for miles, it's so dark, is this line of red lights. And I had a pen and I had a piece of paper and I had my guitar. And while I didn't at that point put the lyrics to the guitar, I wrote that song sitting in that line of cars, trying to sort of find answers, trying to find, and it was interesting because as I began to write, like this lightness came to me, this peace, and sort of this awareness that everything was going to be okay. And so for me, Wheels Down Arizona was what came from that moment of it's all going to be okay, as well as the realization of what had been bubbling up. And now whenever I feel anxious or anything remotely like that experience, I'm able to say it's going to be okay and try and bring that peace that I felt in that moment way out there in the desert back. And so Wheels Down Arizona is the softness and the simplicity and the beauty of that moment that builds into the intensity and the joy and the excitement of being able to embrace those feelings as they kind of explode into real life and out of imagination.
I mean, that's what's like really cool about you songwriters. I mean, here, who would expect that you'd be on this dirt road and, and you're stuck, and then you're like, a song just comes to you, and it comes out of something like this. That's pretty awesome. That's why I like hearing about songs that, where the name came from and what's behind it, because it's very fascinating.
It's wonderful to be able to share. It's so cool that to be able to have a conversation with somebody who pays attention and who thinks about the small things and who cares about where the songs come from. Because it's a wonderful process. For some people, it's with a paintbrush. For some people, it's with poetry. For others, it's with meditation. I think there are a lot of different ways that people process their experiences, and some are able to share them and others don't need to. Some choose not to. But for me, part of the catharsis, part of the joy is being able to share. And so thank you for letting me share.
No problem. So how can our viewers and listeners get your EP tomorrow?
Tomorrow it'll be out on Spotify. It'll be out on iTunes. Look up The Band High Noon. You can find that us also on TikTok and Instagram at The Band High Noon and thebandhighnoon.com. So we already have 2 singles out, Preacher Man and Dawn, which we just discussed. So if you go to The Band High Noon right now, you can grab those. But starting tomorrow, Friday, all of the songs will be available, including that intro. We encourage you to listen to it as an album. We really wrote the songs to go together. And as you can see, the intro and the first song, Preacher Man, do go together. So find us on iTunes, find us on Spotify, Instagram, all of it, The Band High Noon.
And folks, it's spelled HIGH and then NOON. Because sometimes people might think it's like HI and that's it. High Noon. No.
Oh, High Noon. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
No, it is
right.
The Band HIGHNOON.
Just make sure you never know what today.
That's right. No, that's right.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to going up there to Bottlerock. We're excited. And I'm actually, the one reason I want to go up there, I mean, Lizzo's going to be there. She's amazing.
Yeah.
But I want to see Teddy Swims.
Yes. Isn't he wonderful? What a voice. Some of his songs.
Oh.
I mean, talk about soul and spirit. Woo!
Oh,
man.
I mean, I'm trying to, hopefully get an interview, but I just can't wait to hear him.
No, I know. He's a thrilling artist, and it felt like he came out of nowhere. People say that the artist came out of nowhere, and the artist is like, I've been writing songs for 20 years and busking and playing in empty clubs. So what feels like came out of nowhere for a lot of artists and musicians is actually a lifetime of work. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that were true of someone as talented as he is, but you never know.
Yeah. Do you have any closing words for us today?
No, just those of gratitude. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting artists. Thank you for making the time to listen to the lyrics. Thank you for having me on here and for supporting artists and for asking questions about the music, for taking it to the next level and allowing me and others to explain what we love. So get into it. Check it out. The EP is called Swell. We are The Band High Noon. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, all those other places. And please reach out on those spaces. We are all about communicating directly with our fans. And so we really make time every day to answer texts and to go into Instagram Messenger and to communicate with people. So if you have questions, if you have desires, if you want me to throw something up on TikTok of me playing a song differently or something like that, I would love to hear those requests. I would love to interact with you and with the music from The Band High Noon.
That's cool. Do you guys ever come down south here?
We're thinking about doing a touring down there right now. We've it's amazing. We managed to book ourselves up with all these NorCal events and festivals and gigs, but the next thought is Southern California. And so I would love to get down there. I lived in Santa Barbara for a while. I'm down there frequently for other reasons. And so, I think that if there's interest in the music, maybe we could get an opening slot for a great band or something like that. I would love to come down there. So fingers crossed, we'll be down there soon. All
right. Well, we hope to see you down here. We appreciate you taking the time to dial in and
thank you.
Talk to us, and we'll see you soon, right?
Absolutely. Bottlerock, baby.
Yes. Thank you so much.